Hello everyone, welcome to this new video. Today I will show you how to properly set up your IDE, specifically VS Code, in order to perform and program on ROS 2 and ROS 1. If you enjoy the video, leave a like and subscribe, and I will bring more tutorials and I will share my knowledge with you. So this is my VS Code, and I will show you which are my setups, my configs, and all the things I do before starting a project in ROS. So the first thing I do is to set up Docker. In order to set up Docker, I use this ROS image, which is from Open Source Robotics Foundation, that gives an image, so a Docker container. An image is like the base of the container, so it comes with a lot of stuff already installed, so that you don't have to download ROS and many other components like Gazebo, Arvids, and so on. So you already have all those things already installed by default, which is very cool. By the way, this is a specific setup for a project, but it can be generalized really easily. So in this case, what do we have? We have this instruction that pulls the image for ROS humble in this case, so ROS 2. Then we have some variable setup, so just naming some variables which will be useful in the following instructions. And then I have, of course, shell bin bash, which it's to attach the shell when we run the container. Another important part is to run. Run basically tells the build process to execute those commands. So in this case, we are just executing and installing these packages, which in this case were useful for this project. Then we create a user, which is useful because sometimes there are problems since Docker runs as root, and this may cause some problem with permission to access files. So it may happen that you have to perform sudo just to access the files. Like this, we are creating a group of users, and you are basically telling the system can access the file created and modified by doc. So this is just a command that allows me to add my user to the group of Docker. Then of course you have this run, which is a simple script that what it does is just sources the terminal every time I open a new terminal in the Docker. So I do not have to root to source setup.bash from ROS, and also the setup from bash for the project, which is very useful. So it's very convenient. Another thing that you may need is this. Those are configuration files for C++. In this case, we are including the path for ROS and for my package, since we want IntelliSense to understand where the functions are defined and so on, so that we can program and understand better the code we are writing. Another thing that maybe it's useful is Docker Compose. Docker Compose is basically a tool that allows you to build your container with many options. In this case, we will check out the most important ones. So for example, we have privilege, which is a instruction that tells the Docker that you have sudo access to your system. So for example, if you want to connect some devices, if you want to connect some USB drive and so on, if you want to connect some devices, some USB drives and so on, you can do that with these privilege options. It is not ideal since you're giving full access to your system, but if it's your Docker, you have nothing to worry about. Then you have, of course, volumes. So in order to load the folders from your machine to the container. And then, of course, you have these two options that are used in order to display some graphical GUIs on your machine from your Docker. Another thing that's maybe important is this: if you have an NVIDIA GPU, you may add this Docker file, Docker Compose YAML, that allows you to use GPU acceleration also in the Docker. So this is basically all for the setup of your machine. If we go inside the Docker, so we are going inside the Docker, so these are the extensions that you may want. So for example, you want, of course, C++, CMake, since you're gonna build packages with cmakelist.txt, gitlens, if you of course use some git folder, and then of course Python. Those are must-have. And then the most important one, which is ROS. ROS, it's an extension that allows you to do debugging and also to visualize some stuff. So it is important that in the ROS extension you switch to the pre-release version, since the release version is bugged. It has been for a long time. So I don't think they're gonna fix it at this point. So switch to pre-release version in order to use it. As you can see, this is the view from the ROS extension. So it tells you that the ROS2 extension is online, and tells you if there are any nodes online, or if there are any topics, services. So it's quite useful to debug and to check out which nodes are active and so on. There is also the possibility to debug Python code by using the tasks that are included in this extension. Another thing that is quite useful is tasks. So in VS Code you can add tasks in order to expedite your coding and commands. So in this case, what I was doing is building the package with Colcon, then sourcing the setup.bash, and then launching the node with some options. So this is something that can be useful, especially when you set it up with a key binding. So in this case, I set it up with Ctrl+1, and I can launch this